It said that when he died, he blotted out the law that was written against us, contrary to us, took it out of the way. He was nailed to the cross. The law was nailed to the cross. 10 commandments and all 633 laws, nailed to the cross, no longer in jurisdiction over any of us, having spoiled principalities and powers. Now, you know what principalities and powers are? That's the authorities that govern the aliens. Those people that are probably coming on the earth right now in ships. It's those life forces that God created that are out there, both good and bad, that war in the heavens, as Daniel speaks of. Now, the Catholic Church and the children's books have fouled it up by painting little angels with little wings, and they don't look like that at all. And so he spoiled the principalities and powers, having made a show of them openly. That means that Jesus mocked the devil and the principalities and powers of the air, the spiritual wickedness in high places. He mocked them and made a show. When he led captivity captive, do you remember after his resurrection? It said many of the saints which slept in the earth appeared in Jerusalem with Jesus. That's where they came from. He led those people out of that paradise. And when he did, he marched right by the gates of hell. Look at this. And he led captivity captive and distributed gifts to men. Made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Like an MMA wrestler waving his belt buckle and flexing his muscles and saying, I beat them all. Jesus, conquering hero. Psalm 22 describes his death on the cross, what he was thinking. Psalm 23 describes he's in the grave. It said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's when he's dead. Psalm 24 says, lift up your heads, O ye gates, and lift them up, ye everlasting doors, for the King of glory shall come in. And the angels on this side says, who is the King of glory? And the angels over here say, the Lord mighty in battle. And you get this cross-talk in heaven as Jesus comes with this big parade of the Old Testament saints walking into heaven from paradise. He made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Amen. Now, do you remember when the story of Samson went down to Gaza and they were going to kill him? And same Gaza that's Gaza today, but they had some big iron gates with a frame, iron frame holding them, hinged there. And so they shut the gates and said, we got him now. Samson walked up to those gates, and I'm sure he did what he did later. He said, Lord God, give me the strength. He grabbed the bars of the gates as they laughed, and he began to heave. And he jerked those gates right out of the stone. And then he put the whole outfit on his back and walked 20 miles back home with them. And put them down. That's what you call making a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Now, Jesus Christ did that. He left hell and took the gates with him. Now, he has the keys of death and hell, not the devil anymore. He now has jurisdiction and authority over it. Now, that's one half the message. You got time for the rest of it? Doing 15 minutes. 15 minutes maybe. John 20, verse 11. Now this is on the third day. But Mary, and that's out of whom he cast 7 devils, stood without at the sepulchre weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and seeth 2 angels in white sitting, the one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. And they said unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? She said unto him, Because they've taken away my Lord, and I know not where they've laid him. And when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Jesus standing, and knew not that it was Jesus. Jesus said unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou? She, supposing him to be the gardener, said unto him, Sir, if you borne him away, tell me where thou hast laid him, I will take him away. And Jesus said unto her in a tone she recognized, Mary. Inescapable, unavoidable. No one said it like that. She turned herself and said unto him, Rabboni, Master. And he said unto her as she rushed him, Touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren, and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, to my God.
In these legends are the sun, moon, and the stars and the planets, and the destroyer. And also in the Bible, I know people are going to hate me for this, but hey, this is not the channel for religious people. So the Bible, in the story of the Bible, Jesus is the sun and his father is the destroyer, pretty much. So yeah, unless of course you, obviously it's not my fault if people, this is not to oblige people, it's just a video. But if you check the video properly and you understand, once you have the pieces of the puzzle, like I said, everything makes sense. So let's continue the journey to understand everything about the dome that covers this experiment. So the cataclysmic events, which are recorded in all the history resources and everything, all the legends and myths and the civilizations, they're all covered in the work of good researchers. There's two researchers who did a very good job. One of them is Immanuel Velikovsky, and the other one is Graham Hancock. Suggesting these two researchers because in their books they indicate what are the original resources or sources of the information used to write the book. They indicate ancient papyrus and all kinds of sources like the Ipuwer papyrus and all the eyewitnesses. The accounts that escaped the Vatican and the burning stuff. It's amazing how accurate they are in how everything fits together when you add the flat earth. So if you don't add the flat earth, then everything doesn't make any sense. But if you add the non-curvature earth, then everything makes sense with the destruction events, the stories, the myths, the legends, even the Bible. The geological evidences, they're young as between 3,600 and 5,000 years. So there's nothing more older than that, unless, we don't know anything older than that. And the flat earth, of course. So I want to emphasize that the cataclysmic events that caused the reset of the world described in the ancient records and are, the source of all religions and myths is there as well, because these cataclysms are the source of all religions and myths in all civilizations. And these events were recorded by all the survivors from the entire earth after the cataclysms, because there were survivors in the world. So in Norse mythology, in the Nordic mythology, the foreign body or the celestial destroyer that comes to the dome is called Surtur. In early Greek legends, it's called Cronus, and in the Bible, it's called God or Yahweh or whatever you want to say. In the Quran, it's Allah, and Hinduism, it's Shiva, etc., etc. So for each human being, depending on what they like, they have their version. Of course, they make humanity fear it or venerate it or to say prayers to it. That's sickening, of course, because they want to make sure that when it's going to appear again, everybody will be terrified and frozen with terror. My recommendation to you to understand all of this is to look at the Milky Way. Question is, what do you see when you look at the Milky Way? And what does it look like to you personally? If you can't see it on the sky because you have light pollution, then you can see it in the picture I have on the screen. My question for you is, when you look at the Milky Way, is it like a galaxy million of miles away, or light years away, whatever you call it, or is it something else? So if you look at the videos and the pictures, you first have to empty your head from all the indoctrination and all the stuff that you've been indoctrinated with during your life, and look at the picture very deeply, thinking about everything we know so far about the non-curvature Earth and what we see in the real world and the dome. And unfortunately for you and me, the Milky Way is exactly what it looks like. It's a crack, it's a crack or fissure in the vault of the sky, and the celestial destroyer, which is called Marduk or Tiamat or God or Allah or Typhon, depending on the civilization, is situated above the so-called Milky Way galactic bulge, as they call it in science. And the light we see at the center of the Milky Way is from this device called the destroyer, or depending on what culture you come from. And it seems that also a new sun comes out from the place during the so-called cosmic birth, which scientists speak about all the time, and also huge torrents of water fall from the sky. So the deluge, or the waters from above that already created this civilization. If you read Genesis chapter 1 verse 6 to 8, it says there that God, the supposed God, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, divide the waters from the waters from above, from below, and the firmament appeared and divided the waters. So pretty much it states clearly the creation and everything else, and the destruction as well. Psalms 11 with 4, chapter 11 verse 4, states clearly that someone is observing all of the earth, and the eyes of that someone is examining everything. So the genetic experiment with technology. And this device or mechanism called the destroyer enters the dome opening. The dome opening is also called the dark rift of the Milky Way. That's why we have all the stuff that they speak about in science with dark holes and all that stuff. But they obviously they distort, they use their knowledge to say lots of lies. But anyway, so this destroyer destroys Earth, and a part of it falls on the Earth, and after that the lid of this geomechanical cage, which we call the dome, is closed. And also, no wonder the Mayans from America, they were obsessed with the dark rift because they knew what sits behind the dark rift. So the dark rift has also many Mayan mythic identities. It's the Black Road, according to the Mayans, and also the road to the underworld, a crevice in the branches of the cosmic tree, which is the Milky Way, and the mouth of the cosmic monster that looks like a jaguar or a snake with some tree-like features, right? So the Mayans, they try to warn everybody, of course, and they also told us that the earth is flat, there's no curvature. They knew that all the time, as all the rest of civilizations. Let's go to the Nordics a bit. The Bifrost, which is the rainbow, was the bridge leading from Earth, which is called Midgard, to Asgard, which is the home of the gods. That's pretty obvious, but only the gods could cross the bridge, which was guarded by the god Heimdall, and the bridge has also been associated in the Nordic mythology with the Milky Way. It was believed that a great battle between good and evil would end in the destruction of the gods. And the gods pretty much are the sun, the moon, the stars, and the planets, and all that stuff we see on the sky. And during the battle, the Bifrost shattered due to the weight of the monsters. And in the story, if you read the story, all the gods and everything on earth perished under the sea, so with water, and earth rose from the waters, and life began again in a new cycle. So Tiamat is also the chaos. Tiamat in the Mesopotamian religion with the Anunnaki, Tiamat is the chaos monster, so it's a different name for the same device that comes to the dome. Slicing Tiamat in half, and he made from her ribs the vault of heaven and earth. Her weeping eyes became the source of the Tigris and the Euphrates, and her tail became the Milky Way. That's the story of the Mesopotamian religion. And then we also have the Aboriginal people, the Kaurna, in Adelaide Plains in South Australia. They see the band of the Milky Way as a river in the sky world, and in addition, the dark patches are where a dangerous creature known as the Yura lives. So different story, but same story really, with different wording. Also, there's this speaking about the prophecy that says that when this device enters, it moves over the earth at the speed of the Milky Way, and also for 6 days it's the same speed that the sun has along the ecliptic, supposed to be the movement of the sun, and a fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before the earth shall die. And it's very interesting, this number 6, because if you check the Bible, it says God created the world in 6 days. If I rephrase that, it could also mean that God destroyed the world in 6 days. So it's just a different way of recreating the same event, depending on if you want to be good or bad with it. Oh, and of course, the heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up. You also see that in the biblical text. So the heavens scrolling, which like they can open and close like a scroll. So pretty much the effect of the dome cage. The book of Revelation is really nothing more than just a description of the destruction that this device makes when it enters our world, or this world. And Oh, of course, those guys who wrote the Bible, you know who they are. They actually had all the records and they just wrote as they pleased. And one must be really careful when you read the ancient myths and legends and stories, including the Bible, because the good deity is often the same as the bad deity. So you need to navigate through all the lies to make sure that, but it's very easy to understand once you have all the pieces of the puzzle. If you read Revelation chapter 14, verses 14 to 16, so Revelation 14 to 16, scary stuff there in Revelation. These guys up there, they wait until the earth has many souls on it, or energy levels, what you want to call it, people and animals, and then this device is activated. And if you want to understand this properly with more graphics and visuals, watch the movie Jupiter Ascending. It was created by the same guys as the Matrix trilogy. If you watch the official trailer, number 3 of Jupiter Ascending, everything makes sense. Of course, you have to navigate to the lies as well, but that's the reason why Hollywood makes these movies, and that's the reason why the creators of the Matrix trilogy made Jupiter Ascending. So of course, it's a good way of camouflaging everything with like proper marketing and Hollywood stuff, but it's there. They actually tell you the truth in your face and in my face as well. So the Milky Way is the Bifrost, and the dome sky is the Yggdrasil in the Nordic mythology. In the Vedic tradition, it's Mount Meru, which is hidden everywhere, by the way. And in all the mythologies you see, it doesn't matter like if you speak a different language, you have a mythology that speaks about that. All the gods that do the battles in these legends are the sun, moon, and the stars and the planets, and the destroyer that comes to the rift, the dark rift, to the Milky Way. And also in the Bible, I know people are gonna hate me for this, but hey, this is not the channel for religious people. So the Bible, in the story of the Bible, Jesus is the son and his father is the destroyer, pretty much. So yeah, unless of course obviously it's not my fault if people, this is not to oblige people, it's just a video. But if you check the video properly and you understand, once you have the pieces of the puzzle, like I said, everything makes sense. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in part 7 in the next video with more interesting stuff as usual. And thank you for your like and your support, and let's continue, if we are allowed, to keep on publishing stuff. See you next time.